friends, so usually what we do here is I tell you a story. But last week I got a chance to talk to Hank Green, and he has a particular kind of story that he likes to ask people when he first meets them that's really interesting, so I'll let him tell it. Hank, I hear you have a theory that talking to people about a bridge that is important to them is
Yes.
a good way of getting to know a person.
I don't know, it's not a theory.
Yeah.
It's just a thing I do. One time I was at a party and we were playing this game, and the game was you have to go talk to a person you don't know and you have to get them to say a word. And somebody was like, you have to get this person to go say bridge. And then I got them talking about a bridge in their town. And I was like, this is really interesting. And I feel like I'm not just hearing about like where'd you grow up is a question, and like, well, Orlando, but like, what does that say about me? But if you ask me like what my favorite bridge in Orlando, it would be like the bridge where I did my science project with my dad when I was growing up, and we like studied like the life cycle of clams. It's never like a big like revelatory story, which is kind of the nice thing.
Yeah.
Because usually people tell you stories and they're like, this is the funniest thing that ever happened. Listen
Yeah.
to this crazy thing that you wouldn't believe. But instead you're getting a story that's like, this is just a little teeny bit of my life that I
Yeah.
wouldn't normally tell anyone at a party.
Lower stakes.
Yeah, like what are the questions we ask when we first meet people? You ask like, where are you from, what do you do? It's pretty much it. And then you hope to God that you find something you have in common with this person during those first two questions. And I think that like there's so much more to us than that.
Yeah. My question is, what is the last animal you saw in the...
I saw a butterfly just now.
Oh.
Is
I'm
that-
laughing because I'm scared of butterflies.
oh. My favorite bridge is the California Street Pedestrian Bridge in Missoula. There's a really, really terrible bridge. There's a sidewalk, but there's no railing, and the traffic is very fast, and it's like whole bridge bounces.
Ooh.
And so they built the California Street Pedestrian Bridge in the meantime while they're like figuring out how to replace this very vital bridge in Missoula. And it's got like a little street graffiti culture. You kind of just like see the same people like biking or walking to work. It feels very comfortable. And it's a pretty bridge because it's totally pedestrian. You don't ever feel rushed. You don't ever feel like you have to get someplace. And there's a family of beavers that lives under it.
That's awesome.
The graffiti wall changes all the time, and like you never know what you're gonna see. And sometimes it's just like a complete freaking mess. And somebody has destroyed something beautiful with this heart-shaped thing that says that he's really a fan of Kelly. But other times, the whole thing will come like suddenly transform and be this like beautiful piece of art for a couple of weeks.
My favorite bridge is the Water Street Bridge in Milwaukee. There's like statues of ducks all over this bridge because ducks like to hang out near the river, and so
They're commemorating famous ducks of history.
Famous ducks. They have names, and they have little plaques describing the ducks. And my senior year of college, there became an actual duck that lived on this bridge. It was a very territorial duck. So you would be running past all the nice duck statues that had like playful little, positions, and then this one duck would be like sitting on this pillar and just lunge at you.
So like you think
you're like,
that's just another duck statue.
yeah, you're like, oh,
It's
look at all
like-
these wonderful ducks.
It's like that YouTube prank where the guy's in the snowman suits. Good duck story.
That's kind of interesting how it turns from a bridge story into a duck story.
It often turns. It often very quickly turns into a story about something else. It's a story about, and I think bridges are just generally a good metaphor. We talk a lot about building bridges and burning bridges, and like they're the things that take us places. Like you go from one place and then you're in another place.
Yeah.
And it's a very it's that transitional thing that's sort of important in all stories, but like is very, very resonant in sort of the idea and image of the bridge. So as someone who hates when people ask, what do you do? Because people have a lot of interesting facial expressions when you say freelance writer, I love Hank's bridge question because it allows you to be human, right? It allows you to be average. It allows you to be interested in the minuscule and the mundane, whether that's bridges or butterflies or just Kelly, just really, really all about Kelly. But whatever the bridge story reveals also makes it possible to do the thing that I love, where you learn something really obscure about a person and you remember it and you bring it back up again. Because nothing feels nicer than somebody remembering that I'm irrationally afraid of butterflies. Or being able to reference that somebody else can do, say, a remarkably accurate impression of an English sparrow. Because that's compassion, that's connecting, right? Like,
there's those bridges again. So in the comments, I wanna know if you have a bridge story or a duck story or your Kelly story if you have one. And or you can tell me if you have a similar question that you like to ask to get to know people. If you liked this video, consider subscribing if you are so inclined. You can also find me on all my social medias in the links below. And I'll see you next week. Bye.